Hey, what's going on, people? We are here, back like we never left. JV Wins Dogon SS here for another edition to the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate
Mhm.
all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for the support as we continue to kick this logical content. Go ahead and do your boys a big old solid, man. Hit that like and hit that subscribe button if you have not already done so. If this is the first time that you are catching wind of what we like to do over here on this channel, this is your first foray into it, but this is pretty much how we do things each and every week, man. So whether you like what we say, dislike what we say, agree or disagree, the respect of different perspectives is one of the mantras of this channel. So we don't care if you agree with what we say at all. We'd much rather you just engage with the content because that's what it's all about. Diversity of thought, as we like to say. So with that out of the way, we are going to go ahead and get things started off. This individual is most certainly a friend of the channel. We've talked about her on multiple occasions before. Lizzo is apparently struggling. Um, she's apparently struggling. We've discussed kind of at nauseum how her public grievances have played out with respect to certain themes like body shaming and mental health. We even covered the legal issue that she has ongoing, where some people that used to be employed by her are accusing her of a hostile workplace and abusive behavior, which is ironic given what she claims is she's always the victim of herself. So that's kind of funny. But recently she went on to Twitter, or I don't know what platform she did this on, but she went on a bit of a mini rant saying she's tired of being bullied and being the victim and she quits. Now, it's a bit vague in terms of what she means by quit. People don't know if by quitting she means quitting social media, quitting the music industry, quitting making music altogether. No one really knows what she means by quit. That part of it is rather cryptic.
Hmm.
But she did get on. She did get on there and she did say, "I'm tired of this. I quit." So we'll go ahead and provide some context here, real quick, as we lament on Lizzo's apparent despair. Unfortunately, but she's apparently going through a tough time here. So this says Lizzo goes on explosive rant about her haters, ends it by saying, "I quit." A running theme that has permeated throughout the career of Lizzo is backlash. The Detroit, Michigan vocalist has been one of the biggest stars in the music industry for the last few years. Almost everyone knows that fame is a good enough reason for the public to say negative things about you. However, the criticism really has not revolved around her music. It has had more to do with her severe sexual harassment and hostile work environment allegations from her ex-dancers. Furthermore, there is a large audience, which includes conservative political figure Candace Owens, that is against behavior in public. All of these reasons could be factors in Lizzo's recent rant in which she said, "I quit." The About Damn Time artist has been holding back from really speaking her mind, it seems, as Lizzo unleashed on her haters. According to TMZ, Lizzo did this via Instagram. So that's what she was on Instagram. Shortly after people were upset at her for performing at Joe Biden's fundraiser amid the aforementioned allegations. The event was held at the Radio City Music Hall in New York City, with the other performers being Queen Latifah, Ben Platt, and more. Lizzo's explosive message reads, "I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views, being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look. I didn't sign up for this shit. I quit." So there is a caption, and that was from X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, of what she said here. So apparently she's upset. She also feels that the world doesn't want me in it, and that all she wants to do is make music and make people happy. There are definitely a few ways to assess these comments from Lizzo. She could be saying, "I quit to get off social media," or at least take a break from it. Another way to view it is that she could be done trying to please the critics and just live her life. Or the most extreme meaning would be that she is done with music. There will certainly be more to come, so be sure to stick around. So that's pretty much the gist of it there. Lizzo appears to be a bit flummoxed um, about the way things are going with her. Um, I don't know if it's her career or what, but publicly she is just not dealing very well with how things play out for her narrative wise. And so now she has exclaimed that she quits. What are your interpretations of her post? And what do you make of the situation overall with her? What do you think's going on there?
Well, as far as her post is concerned, I really believe that it's just emotional. Um, I've, regrettably, I've sent emotional texts before, just in the moment. You know what I'm saying? No Meek Mill, but still in the situation of I'm done with your ass, and I wasn't done. You know what I'm saying? But in that moment, I felt like that. So, for whatever reasons, the kitchen got a little too hot for her, no pun intended. And she was like, you know what? For whatever reason, something personal probably came up in her life at that moment where she was just not feeling the game. Uh, upset that she is the butt of a lot of jokes. So I think it's just more emotional. I don't think she's quitting anything. So I think that was just a heat of the moment kind of message just to garner sympathy. It's nobody's paying attention to me, and so I'm a bust out crying and hitting the floor, and everybody, hey, what's the matter? What's the matter, Lizzo? Nothing. I'm just upset. That's all this is. And she's just gonna go out there and start playing whatever instrument she plays and twerking it up, clapping her ass, uh, in public venues, uh, where there's families around. So she wonders why she catches so much heat. It's because she does a lot of things, in my opinion, or she at least historically done things publicly that was shameful. It's things that were inappropriate, uh, particularly in the nudity department. And I get it that you're proud of who you are, and you want other women like you to be proud of who they are. Everybody should be, everybody should love themselves. But what's the line here? And so just parading yourself around naked in inappropriate ways, being somewhat abrasive. Um, and I've heard of Lizzo's antics before I heard any of her music, and that says a lot. So so she can say that people are attacking her or targeting her if she wants, but to me, she's a person that is hollering for attention. And just like I mentioned, I wouldn't even heard her if she wasn't hollering for, "Hey, come look at me." And so when you're doing that, it comes with all kinds of attention, and especially if you're the abrasive type, like she appears to be, or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna feel the heat from the public. So I
Yeah.
just think it's a whole bunch of nothing. But what about you, sir? What are your thoughts about Miss Lizzo? What do you think? She's quitting the game? What do you think?
Yeah, I largely agree with you. I think it's an emotional knee jerk reaction. She's not going to quit music because she's too good at it, I would say. And she's not going to quit social media because there's too much potential gain to be had in the world of attention currency, especially
Mhm.
when you are somebody who lives in the public eye and you are a prominent figure in the music industry. Um, your activity online becomes a form of currency because we are now fully thrusted in an environment in which there is a such thing as literal social capital, social currency. And in many respects, particularly for people in the entertainment sectors, um, attention currency is just as valuable as actual physical money, actual currency. So that's just my, roundabout way of saying there's too much, frankly, money to be made in either of these areas for her to be serious about actually quitting. Therefore, like you, I think that it's an emotional reaction. Um, Maybe it's contrived on her part to see what kind of reaction she'll get from such an inflammatory statement. She wants to gauge the public to see how they'll react to that kind of thing. But overall, I don't think at all that she's quitting. But here's the thing about this, and I don't know if you've been following women's college basketball, but right now one of the bigger things that they are talking about, at least the last 24 hours, is Iowa beat LSU in women's March Madness. They were in the Elite Eight round, right? So last year, just to bring anybody up to speed who's not aware of this, you got Caitlin Clark, who plays for Iowa, superstar player. And then you got Angel Reese, who plays for LSU, who's not nearly as good as Caitlin Clark, but she's a serviceable, above average player, I would say, as a in the female game. But Angel Reese is a trash talker, and she gets in your face. And so there was a lot of headlines made when LSU beat Iowa last year, and Angel Reese was all up in Caitlin Clark's face. And it got turned into this discussion about sexism and racism, because it's like other people do this, and when Angel Reese does it, everyone's looking at it differently. Why is that? So they were making a racial and sexist discussion out of this. Even though I thought that the two people were nuance wise, the way that the two individuals went about doing their thing was completely different. But they used it as an opportunity to talk about racism and sexism with women's college basketball with Angel Reese. Fast forward to this year, LSU lost to Iowa. And there was no trash talking or nothing like that. It's not like Caitlin Clark got her get back from a trash talking standpoint. But in the post game press conference, Angel Reese was crying in front of the media, talking about how she's mistreated and how she's never had peace ever since they won last year. And she was basically playing the victim card. And one of the conversations that have come out of this is it's difficult for you to sit up there now in retrospect, now that you've lost, and cry and try to garner sympathy because of how mistreated you are and how you're sexualized and how you're this and you're that, when you've actively behaved publicly in such a way to invite a lot of the criticism that you now say has become too much and too loud. And I kind of feel that way about Lizzo, where a lot of this hate that you claim to be the victim of is due to some of the antics and behaviors on your part that you have put out there publicly. And I know that we're trying to reinvent the world and try to apply new rules, but I'm sorry, when you go to a Lakers game basically naked, people are going to have some things to say about that. And because of the way that you look physically, there's going to be some comments made about your body type. Now, you could have avoided all that by not dressing that way. You chose to put yourself out there on Front Street because you want to be quote unquote courageous. Now, admirable as it may be that you're courageous, there's going to be some criticism that comes along with that. That's the way that the world works. You decided to put yourself in that public storm by dressing that way. So when the criticism comes, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. In my opinion, it's difficult for you to position yourself as a victim of anything when you invited the criticism because you chose to do that, knowing what the reaction was going to be. And I think both of us made the comments when we talked about this last year. I don't even think this is a body positivity conversation, because you can be the most slender, slim, thick, in shape Instagram model. If you show up at a Lakers game naked, you're going to have a lot of people criticizing the fact that you decided to dress that way. Now, she decided to turn that into a body positivity discussion, thus making her this champion for body positivity. Okay, fine. You want to do that and go to SJW route to cover yourself? Go for it. But smart enough people understand the difference. It doesn't really matter what your body type is. You show up to a public venue of that capacity and you're looking like that, where we can just literally see your whole ass because there's just nothing there but a see-through skirt, people are going to say things about you. Whether you look like Lizzo or whether you have a body type that's the opposite of Lizzo. To me, it really didn't have anything to do with body positivity, but it got turned into that. The point is, you put yourself in that maelstrom. You know what I'm saying? You position yourself to be criticized that way. And so now that you have done these types of things repeatedly, you want to sit there and cry wolf and say, I'm tired of being the butt of jokes for how I look and being criticized overly. Well, there are certain things that you could have done throughout your tenure as a superstar in the public that could have averted a lot of this. And there's plenty of other women, if you want to take it to women who are in the entertainment industry, who position themselves as sex appealing stars and make music the way you make it. And they do their thing and they may dance provocatively and twerk off and do all of this kind of stuff. And they don't get nearly the kind of attention that you get because they know that when they go to an award show or a Lakers game, unless they're prepared to deal with the heat, knowing that it's going to come, probably against my best interest to dress half naked. So people need to understand the importance of being held more accountable. These types of things are silly to me, but this is what you have when you're dealing with a society full of attention seekers. There's no accountability. There's no ability to sit down and in retrospect say, what were some of the strategic decisions that I made that put me in this position in the first place? Rather, you're going to blame the world because you want the world to be remade in your image. And this is not the world according to Lizzo. This is not the world according to JV Wins. This is not the world according to Dogon SS. I'm pretty sure Dogon SS would love to be able to do whatever the hell he wants in public.
You damn right.
But he knows full well that if he does do these things, there's going to be some critiques made about some of the things that he does publicly. Now, here's the thing about it. If he decided to live that life, more power to him. Go ahead. But he does it knowing what comes with it. And when the result comes, it's difficult for him to say, y'all put this on me. Nah, man, you kind of put this on yourself.
All right.
A lot of her behavior is due to her own doing. So, we can get into all of these ancillary discussions about whether she gets overly critiqued because of her weight and her body. Listen, at the end of the day, we know how the world is constructed. The world is socially constructed in a particular way in which it does not necessarily benefit one particular ideology over the other. For every 10 people who love what I do or say, there's probably 1,000 more who hate it. Those 10 people who love what I do or say are going to come to bat for me. But publicly, when I do what I do, there's going to be 1,000 more who despise it. And they're going to say something about it. So it is incumbent upon me to know how far I should take it publicly and when it's my responsibility to dial it back if I feel like what I am experiencing has become a little too uncomfortable. And clearly for her, it's become too uncomfortable. But she's an attention seeker. She is a byproduct, a child. She is a progeny of attention seeking Western culture,
Yeah.
birthed by the internet and social media. And these individuals don't know how to tell the difference. They don't know how to dial it back. All they know is, I want my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes with the negative part of it, they don't know how to handle it. So they just combust, they explode, they can't manage it effectively. Now, if you ask me, I can, give you some tips on how to better manage that. But I come from a different generation. I was actually alive for a significant period of time in which there was no mass consumption of the internet, and there definitely was no social media. So I have a greater perspective, which allows me to understand how to strike that balance. Someone like her completely lacks that. And it's all narcissism. It's all attention-seeking behavior.
Yep.
And they can't help it and they can't control themselves.
Yep.
So for an individual like her, she needs to understand how to strike the balance and know how to take the good with the bad. And if you can't handle the criticism that comes along with that, redirect your energy elsewhere and do things publicly in such a way that will allow you to incur a little less of that criticism that you can't take so much and has you wondering whether you need to quit.
Yeah, well said, bro. That was the point I was going to make there. With the widespread narcissism, it's it's a westernized normality at this point. Everybody, not everybody. There's a lot of people walking around on narcissism mode, and yeah, she's a reflection of this. I was going to say the exact thing, that this is the byproduct of that kind of culture being pumped into America, for the last, I don't know, 60 whatever years, you know, when everybody got color TVs in their house. You know, the show was on. And now we have a society full of people who it's all about me, I, and teamwork, and sacrificing for the betterment of things, compromising. That's not really a thing anymore. And if you do witness compromising or somebody sacrificing something, it's not really that much, and they felt like they gave you the world by one or two favors. And it's like, hey, this is reciprocity here. It's a give and take type of thing. But that's not what America preaches. They preach individualism. They don't There's nothing about community, about anything. So once individualism is perpetuated for generation over generation, yeah, it becomes a crystallized form of narcissism. And what we're witnessing right now is a mass population full of it. I mean, just driving in traffic, you see the narcissism. So yeah, it's off the charts. This is no different. Yeah, it's the world according to her, as you mentioned. She's just in her own bubble, and I really think she's failing to see it. I don't think I don't think she. You can tell her that, but then she's gonna, wrap her way around of how she's the victim still, and that is what we're talking about. That, yeah, you're crazy. That's a crazy way of looking at this. You know, there is no up without a down, and there ain't no left without a right. So, you got to see what's your part in this. And she's neglected to do that her entire career. I don't see it changing anytime soon. So, yeah, this is just another ploy of hers, which makes it hard for me to be a fan of her. I'm a fan of, whatever is popping and whatever is solid, humble, and whatever. And I don't get any of that from her. I get nasty, rude. I'm pretty sure she's a sweetheart, to the people that she loves. Yeah. But
Right.
if she wants to be the bad girl to somebody else, I see that in her too. And I see she can be, whatever. So with me reading that, it makes it difficult for me to, sympathize for her on top of all the extra stuff that we mentioned about her just parading around in the nude. And real quick, I'll touch on it. I don't, even if there was a woman, we scolded Sierra when she walked down the thing with Russell Wilson.
That is
Like,
right.
what
Yes.
are you doing? And
Yeah.
she had a nice body. She was looking good in that thing. Or if she was wearing anything at all. But there was still hell to pay. But that wasn't a Lakers game. That was a red carpet event. You was carrying your behind out there where there's families, babies, and strollers. So that was my issue with that. So yeah, man. So she can say whatever she wants, but yeah, point well taken, bro. I think this is a good example of how people cannot see the other side and not having that balance. So yeah, well said, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Accountability has become a lost art. Respect for others in public spaces and accountability are two things in the modern day sense that have become complete and utter lost arts.
Mhm.
Um, uh, a way that she would be able to sidestep a lot of this hypothetically is if she were to learn how to measure her social media activity and kind of figure out how she can best unplug at times when she needs it for the betterment of her mental health, right? So, like, don't spend all day on TikTok or Instagram. Spend an hour or two, do what you do, whatever you need to do for your career or whatever you're promoting or your branding, but unplug, be a human being that's of the world. And you're not always glued to your mentions and your comments and your likes and your followers. But
Mhm.
the irony in me suggesting that is a narc on her level, a self-absorbed, narcissistic, attention-seeking individual on her level, and she's not the only one, but an
Mhm.
individual to whom all of that applies on that level, they can't actually do that because they're too addicted to those things to actually pull away. So the ironic thing about it is the very thing that's killing them is the thing that they can't put down. She'll never be able to put the Instagram down. She'll never be able to put the TikTok down. She can't put any of this down. She's too, it's an appendage at this point for her and others like her. It's become a third arm. It's a literal appendage. So the thing that would help them is the thing that they can't do, because the thing that is killing them is the thing that they're addicted to. You know, it's like an alcoholic. Alcohol is eventually going to kill a person who's addicted to alcohol. Tell them to put the bottle down, they can't do it. They can't stop. They need to keep drinking, but that alcohol is eventually the thing that they need is the thing that's going to kill them at the end of the day. And that's what you got going on with these narcs out here, man. They can't put it down. They can't help themselves. But then they'll cry and complain about everything that comes with it. Well, learn how to put it down or conduct yourself publicly in a different fashion. But you can't have it both ways. And that is one of the classic tall tale signs of narcissistic behavior. Look it up in any DSM file. It is the inability to understand accountability, and it is wanting to have everything work to your advantage in any circumstance, no matter what the situation is. And that's what she's got going on, and that's what every other person that we talk about that does this kind of double talk crap despite their behavior, especially in the entertainment industry, they all do the same thing. And you know, it's a joke, but it is a reflection of hyper narcissism, which is running rampant. And I don't see how you can disagree with that.
Hey man, I don't see how this changes with the current setup is what got us here, and the current setup ain't changing. It's only evolving to more degenerative things. So, man, I don't know. You know, everybody hollering mental health, but ain't nobody getting it. Hey man, best of luck, Lizzo. Best of luck, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck, Lizzo. You know, I don't know if you quitting for real or not, but I hope you get the how they say, I hope she gets the help that she needs.
Yeah, on some Draymond.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh man.
Fucking Draymond. You talk about narcs. What a crazy person.